Alright guys, so welcome back to my channel. I'm kind of going to do this a little bit backwards today. I'm actually going to show you the finished product, and then I'll show you how I got to the finished product. But this is more or less a disclaimer. I know the audio on this video is going to be horrible. I apologize for that in advance. The AC is running in the background. I'm sure you can hear it now, but I promise you next week I'm going to have a mic for you guys, so everything will be nice and clear what I'm saying, because I feel like I'm dropping some pretty good information for anybody who's never done fiberglass or anything like this before. But this is pretty much what I've got. Came out pretty good. It's all hard. It's nice and solid. I put the wax on there so it's not sticky. It's cured all the way. There's no tackiness to it. It's just smooth. There's some white edges. I am going to trim these edges off. I'm not really worried about that. All this can get trimmed off, and it's all going to get resin on it anyways for the final product. But this is what I got. This is what I ended up with, and we'll get into how I got there now. Alright guys, welcome back to JC Inshore. This is actually part 3 of my skiff build in the backyard. Welcome to my backyard, my little mini shop, so to speak. Today's focus, we're going to work on this casting deck. This is the casting deck that will go on that frame, which will then in turn go on the bow of the boat. I'm just going to sand this side. This is actually the bottom side of the casting deck. The top I've already sanded, but I just want to be ready to just throw resin and fiberglass on this when it comes time for it. So I'm going to sand this also. These hatches and the hatch holes that I've cut, they barely, like, it's a snug fit. If this was it, then it would be perfect. But when I cut these holes out, I did not account for the fiberglass it's going to be, because I'm actually going to wrap the fiberglass around so it can help waterproof this exposed edge on the casting deck. So when I get my sander, I'm actually going to work on trying to open these up a little bit so it's a little bit of a looser fit. So when I get the fiberglass in there, everything's going to be Gucci and good to go. Let me grab my sander. Let me grab my mask, because you always want to wear a mask when you're sanding. Wood, fiberglass, it don't matter. And we'll get going here. So now that I've got it flipped over, this is the actual top for it. This is going to be facing up, obviously. There's a couple of knots in it. I thought this side looked a lot better than the underside. I know this isn't marine grade plywood. I understand that. Like I said, this is a budget build, emphasis on budget. Since this is my first boat, I'm really excited about it. This is going to stay in my family forever if I have anything to do with it. This is going to be the boat that I give to my son once he gets old enough. And if it needs to be redone when he gets it, then I figure it would be a nice little project for the two of us to work on. But, you know, like I said, it's not sanded perfectly smooth. I can feel some ridges. Like I said, the knots got to be filled in. They're going to get filled in with resin. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm planning on fairing, sanding, and everything to make this thing look like glass when it's done. Let me get some acetone and we'll give it a little wipe down and get it ready for some resin and fiberglass. So this is my thought process today. I'm going to pretty much do 3 layers of resin, 2 layers of fiberglass. I'm going to mix some resin without wax. I'm going to throw it on the wood. I do fully anticipate the wood soaking up the resin, so I'm not really sure how much it's going to soak up, since this isn't necessarily marine grade wood. After that, I'm going to throw my first layer of not 1708, but chop strand mat on here. I'm going to put 2 layers. The first layer is literally just going to fit exactly over. The second layer, I'm going to have a little bit of overhang so I can wrap these edges around where the hatches are and around the edges on the outside itself. That's my thought process. Hopefully it'll work like I want it to. This is the 2 rolls of fiberglass that I have from Willie's in Daytona out at the flea market. This is the chop strand mat. As you can see, there's just kind of fibers randomly thrown in there. There's no rhyme or reason to it. This is not really for strength, this is more or less for cosmetics. And since I have that pretty decent wood core with the over-engineered frame for it, I don't think I'm really going to need any structure out of the fiberglass itself. This is 1708. As you can see, there's a lot more organization to it. They're actually woven together, and once I start using this, I'll show you on the other side, it actually looks just like chopped strands. So you're actually getting 2-in-1, but this is more of a structural deal than anything else. It doesn't really sand that well. It doesn't look that good when you do put it on as the finished product. So that's why I have the chopped strand mat, because it's going to give it a much better appearance in the final product. So I'm actually going to roll out some of this chopped strand mat, get a marker, trace it out, cut it out, and we'll start throwing it on there. Alright guys, this should be pretty much a lot better. Pretty much what I did, I just took a big piece of plywood and put it on the bottom so I can put my fiberglass down first. And of course I got the plastic here so I don't contaminate my fiberglass with all the dust, because this is a dusty table. Yep, upside. Get it lined up, try to get maximum area. Get everything lined up somewhat good, that's good. And now I'm just going to take my magic marker, permanent marker, wherever I put it, there it is. Well, where am I going here? And once again, it's not rocket science. I'm pretty much just taking it with a marker for the holes. Come down the side. Like I said, we're just making an outline. Nothing special. We've all traced in school before, art class. And this is going to be my first sheet. I'm just going to grab the scissors and cut this out real quick. Alright, so this is where I'm at now. I've got everything cut out. I got that strip up there I'm going to save. Always save all of your bits and pieces. I'm going to save all of this. You can actually take this and cut it up even in smaller pieces and mix it in with your resin, kind of like I was doing with the filler. And as you can see, there's like no strength to this at all. With just with one hand I can pull it apart. So there's absolutely no strength behind this. It's more or less for a cosmetic feel. So pretty much what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this piece, roll the roll out a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and cut my second piece so I can have everything ready to go. And I'm actually going to use this piece to trace out for my second piece, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and knock that out. Like I said, pretty much a rinse and repeat. I don't know if I'll show that, but that's pretty much what I got going on next. So this is what it looks like before I cut it out. Some places I use my finger kind of as a spacer. Other places where it was hard to move my finger, I just kind of eyeballed it, freelance it, you know, doing some sketchy stuff. I'm not all about taking proper measurements, but it'll be good enough. Get it cut out and we'll get the resin set up. So here I've got my resin. Once again, it's a polyester resin that is definitely not the original container it comes in. I just put it in there because I get it in like a gallon paint can, and it's just easier for me to transfer it into this bottle and pour it into the cups. I do have a smaller cup today. I ran out of my tall cups. I forgot to get some. But pretty much I'm going to do 12 ounces at a time. It gives me a little bit the top to work and mix the hardener in. I'm not going to put any wax in the first few batches. I'm going to save the wax for when I put on my final piece of CSM, my chop strand mat. And also for the first, just to get the resin on the wood, I'm just going to use this to kind of spread it out. Hopefully it'll fill some of these gaps where the knots are and things like that. And then once I start actually putting fiberglass on, I'm going to move to the roller to spread the resin out and get it saturated into the fiberglass. Let me go ahead and start mixing some of this up, and we'll get going putting it on there. Like I said, I'm going to try to go for 12-ounce batches at a time. I go for a 3.5, not 3.5, but 1% ratio for my hardener. It's 3.5 cc's for 12 ounces to get 1.5 or 1%. Like I said, it's so hot and it's so humid here in Florida that anything more than 1% and the resin just gets away from you. And this might be a little bit old, so it's probably a little thicker than I want it to be. Like I said, we'll just measure out 12 ounces. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. And I'm definitely gonna have to, yeah, see a big glob just came out. We'll see how it works, it'll be alright. We'll get 12 ounces going in here. And whatever's left in there, I'm just going to let it go because that is definitely old stuff in there. These things are amazing if you don't break it. Let me go see if I can find another one. Alright, so now that I got a plunger that's not broken, I can't get this down into my hardener. So I just pull the plunger out, put it in the top. Like I said, we're going to 3.5 cc's for a 1% ratio on these 12 ounces. That's 3.5 right there. Like I said, I think this resin was pretty much on the end of its lifespan, starting to get thick on me. Hopefully it'll work. I've heard it's got like a 1-year shelf life on it, and I've definitely had it less than a year. But I think with where I store it, it's not exactly temperature controlled. It's honestly a little thick, but we'll see if it works anyways. I'm sure it'll be fine. If not, you know, we'll just start over. No big deal. And I'm sure you see the sweat dripping off my face. It's probably like 9. It's as humid as it can be without it actually raining. It's ridiculously humid right now. And I'm sure you can see the sweat just dripping off my nose. I'm trying not to get it in the resin, because of course water and resin don't really do good. So kind of got that mixed up pretty good. Like I said, I'm just going to pour this directly onto the wood and spread it out with this body thing. Try to get it all out. And just spread it on. I do anticipate the wood soaking up some of this, so I'm sure I'll have to make another batch. I got the plastic down. If it gets glued to the plastic, well, you know, it is what it is. But I just want to get this covered all over, thin layer across the whole thing. And if we gotta make another batch for this, I'll make another batch for it. Try to get all the way out to the edges. This end grain tends to absorb a lot of resin. I'm going to wait till I actually get the second piece on there to worry about that. And it's easier just to add it in. So you see it's good because it's filling in these cracks and these knots that I have here. Move that out of the way. And if I go a little off the edge, then that's all good too. Like I said, I got the plastic down. Try to get it as smooth as possible. So that way the glass lays down nice. Oh, don't go that way. So the glass will lay down nice and flat too. Also, you'll see when I go to get my glass, I rolled it up. I didn't fold it up, because once that glass creases, you'll never get it to lay down flat. According to Andy from Boatworks, which I watch his YouTube channel a lot. He's taught me a lot. Fish Bump, Dylan D Fishing, those guys, I've watched their channels a lot to try and figure out how to do this stuff. So I'm just trying to make sure it's nice and flat. Any ridges or runs I'm trying to smooth out. There's a goofy little piece right there. Get that off of there. We're just trying to spread it out. You should have some decent working time with it, because once you spread it out, it does not take as much to build the heat up in the resin, because you have much more surface area for it to dissipate the heat. Drag some back over here. Go back around this way. I want to make sure my plastic a little bit. Just try to get it smooth. And like I said, if it's not perfectly smooth, that's alright. Because I plan on fairing this and sanding it anyways. So it doesn't have to be perfectly flat now. It's just whatever I can knock out here. Less work for me, but it's still going to get done regardless. So now, plus it'll get absorbed into the subsequent layers of fiberglass that I'm putting on there. And I think I got just enough, honestly. See how much it absorbs into the wood, because the wood will drink the resin. That's why they always say to put a first one nice thick coat of resin on your wood. Let it absorb whatever resin it's going to absorb. And then you can go from there, and I think we have just enough here, honestly. Fish Bump has a couple episodes on how you can gauge how much resin a project is going to take. I did watch those. I didn't necessarily pay attention to them, because it is what it is. So we got that all spread out nice and even, as much as it's going to get. So now I'm actually going to bust open a brand new container of resin that I've got here, and you'll be able to see the difference between the resin, the old stuff and the new stuff. You can hear the difference in it. It's real liquidy in there. And actually, before I mix this up, I'm going to take my first piece and set it out there. I've got it marked with this one. I've got two on my other piece. And that just helps me kind of keep track of what's going on so I don't trip on these bricks. Just kind of unroll it. And just kind of line it up. Kind of slide it around. These bigger pieces are a little harder to work with if you're just one person doing it by yourself. But I think we got it going on here. We'll be alright. There we go. Everything laid out nice and flat as it's going to be. I think that's pretty good. We'll go ahead and make this up our second batch. I'm going to try and get as much of this old nasty stuff out of here as I can. And I mean, it is nasty. Old. Definitely can tell the difference compared to the new stuff. I've already shaken this up quite a bit. Like I said, I'm going to go with another 12 ounces. Just because my cup's so small, I don't have any of the bigger cups. they all broke and cracked on me. Because of course you can only reuse them so many times. But let me get this new can popped open, you'll definitely be able to see the difference. If I can get it open, there we go. This is why I wear gloves, because this stuff will just stick to you. Jeez. There we go. So let's see, turn my cup so I can see the ounces. There we go. It's just a pain trying to pour this out of a damn paint can for sure. Oh yeah, night and day difference between the old stuff and the new stuff. But hopefully it'll be alright. Once again, 3.5 ounces or 3.5 cc's for a 1% ratio on the hardener. If you go a little higher, it's okay. I think I got closer to 4 there, but it'll be alright. Oh yeah, much different, much better. Kind of second guessing having used that first batch, but it's alright. I thought about pouring it out and reusing or getting new resin. But what's done is done. And hopefully it'll be all good. So just mix it, mix it, mix it. Scrape your sides. You're going to mix it for a little while. And make sure that hardener's all in there. Last thing you want is certain spots not to get hard. Then it'll be all for nothing. It probably needs a little bit more than 12 ounces this time, because I'm sure that chop strand's going to absorb quite a bit of this. I know my roller's probably going to absorb quite a bit of this. And you'll see when I pour it out, it's going to look a lot thinner. It's because it's a fresh can that I just opened. Start off with a little bit and just start rolling it out. You'll know you'll have good coverage because your resin will soak into your fiberglass and it'll turn translucent. You'll be able to see the grain through it and everything. Yeah, it's going to take way more than 12 ounces. Pour it out. Make sure I get it all. Here, I'll show you guys. So you can see, once that fiberglass gets saturated, you'll be able to see right through it to the wood. And I'm not worried about oversaturating it because I am going to put another layer of fiberglass on top of this. But I just want to get all this covered and saturated. All these little folds like that I'm not worried about, because I know once it gets saturated it should push it down and stick, maybe, hopefully, all the way out to the edge here. Yeah, and you can see that turns it straight see-through. I think I'm going to mix up another 12 ounces here real quick. And we'll keep it going. Mix. Once you get it out of the cup and onto your work surface, like I said, once you increase your surface area, doesn't generate as much heat and you get a little bit more working time with it. That's what I'm not worried about, is firing off. Once I get it on the fiberglass. I'm kind of losing my daylight, so I'm also trying to rush here at the same time. Scrape the size. I think that's a good mix there. Grab my roller. Got some spots over here. Could use some more resin. It's not going to be instant. It might take a minute for the resin to soak into your fiberglass, but just be patient with it. And if the resin's on the fiberglass, it's definitely going to get soaked in. Just quite a bit. Spread it out. Like I said, I'm not worried about oversaturating this particular part, because I am going to put another piece on top of this. Just work it all in there. Get it all out of the cup. Use the roller to get all your excess out. Roller. That's all there is to it. It's not rocket science by any means. I honestly used to get so intimidated with doing fiberglass work, especially having never done it before, and I'm doing it on such a big scale now with my Skiff. But after you work with it, it'll be fine. I do have some resin running off the edges, which is alright. I'll just tear some of that plastic when I pull it up. Just roll them over it, make sure everything's covered. Nice and even. Now I'm going to get my second piece and lay it on. Like I said, this is going to be a little bit bigger. It's going to overlap a little extra so I can wrap it around the edges. Which is the plan. Like I said, when you get these bigger pieces, it does help to have somebody help you, but we're doing the build way today, as we do most days. I'm sure the wife wouldn't mind helping me, but she's inside with the boys doing mom stuff, which is absolutely wonderful. I love her for that. She gives me the opportunity to come out here and work on this project. Alright, I think we got that pretty much laid out really good. Now a couple more batches of resin. Where's my ounces at? Ounces right there. I'm not gonna lie, this is actually taking quite a bit more resin than I thought it was gonna take, but it's alright, so I got the resin for it, baby. Resin all day. 3.5 cc's of my hardener, MEKP. When you're using your polyester resin, it's an MEKP. It's not like epoxy where you have like a 2-part epoxy, a 2-to-1 or a 1-to-1. Like I said, this is my second layer of fiberglass. And I'm probably going to go ahead and this is probably going to take two batches of these 12-ounce cups. I wish I had some of those taller cups, man. I could have probably had all my resin on there already, or in one shot rather. But it's all good. Same thing over, except this time I'm going to try and wrap those edges around Same thing, rinse and repeat. I just realized I didn't put my wax in here, which is whatever, it's no big deal. We'll figure something out. I'll probably make up a little extra batch with some wax in it, just to cover it up. Just push the resin around and leave it where you need it. That's all there is to it. Move it all around. Edge is pretty good, and I'll show you something with the fin roller. We're using a fin roller to actually move the resin around. Just use the roller to get it on the edges there. I probably should have a brush. It would help tremendously with these edges, but it's alright. You can still see right through this, straight to the wood. So I know I've got good saturation. I ain't worried about that. That's what else is. Where's my 3 cc's, 3.5 cc's? Stir stick here. Everything is sticking to my fingers. And actually, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my wax. This go around. Your wax is roughly 3 times your hardener. So if I've got 3.5 cc's, that's roughly 12 cc's of wax. There's like 9. Doesn't have to be exact. The wax is whatever. The wax just flows to the top. So if you put too much in there, it's not a big deal. Fuzzy hands. And just give it all a good mix. Trying not to spill it all over the place, but I feel like I am. Move my resin over there. Like I said, this is polyester resin. It's laminating resin. You need that wax in it on your final coat of resin. That wax creates a airtight seal on the top of it, and that airtight seal is what allows the resin to fully cure 100%. Without that wax, it's not going to fully cure. It's still going to be tacky, which is good if you're putting more resin on it after the fact. A couple days later, you won't have to sand it or anything like that. But once you put that wax in it, if you're going to put some more resin, you got to sand that wax off of it. So let's go to this other side. Roller to get it all out, and there's so much resin in this roller, it's ridiculous. So I'm sure if I get myself in a jam, which I don't think I am, all the way out to the edges. And there is ways to get around using wax. There is some kind of plastic spray that you can use. It turns into a plastic film. once it dries, and you can cover that. A lot of people will put gel coat with wax in it to help seal that surface in. And it also kind of helps as a builder, so when you sand it down, it'll help with the sanding process. But I'm not doing that. I'm just going to try and put some wax with the try and push these edges in. That's why part of the reason why I got that plastic down there. And if this doesn't come out exactly fine, it's okay, because I am going to put some chop strain on the bottom side as well, and that'll give me another opportunity to wrap around those edges. But just push down, try to get them wrapped a little bit, overlap the roller. Actually, I'm going to make a little bit more. Do 12 more ounces, put some wax in it. And we will go from there. That should be right there. I'll actually do the wax first this time, since I remembered it. And like I said, if it's getting dark, I'm sorry guys, I'm chasing the sunset here. That's 9. 4. Put that back on. And then our 3.5 cc's of hardener. Which I can't even see the numbers on here now, but it's alright. I've did it so many times. That looks about right. Mix. Try not to mix it too fast, like I said, I don't want it to spill over. I think that's pretty good there. I said I'm going to focus on this side here since I didn't put the wax in at that time. This will also give me a little extra to get on my edges. So I can fold those edges over. There's something in the resin that breaks down something in the fiberglass that will allow it to give these bends that you're looking for, but at the same time, fiberglass is not like sharp angles. I'm just going to hit the sides. Make sure all these little overlap pieces get the resin on. Said I'm not worried about tearing up this plastic. It's kind of part of the reason why I put the plastic down. I had a feeling I was going to have to do this. Make sure you get it all saturated. You'll see I'm going to use the thin roller here to push these bubbles out. You'll actually see that thin roller is going to be pushing resin around also, so that'll help kind of spread the resin out evenly. Get all these edges around here. Don't forget the edges. Push it down in there so the resin gets out of that roller. Chasing the sunset, guys. Like I said, I got a little bit left over, so I'm just going to put this away so when it hardens, So now I'm just going to grab my fin roller here. If you guys can see that, I know it's kind of dark. But pretty much it's used to push all the air bubbles out. If there's any air bubbles in this thing, it's going to push them out. See if we can always work from the center out. And actually that roller did a pretty good job, so there's not too many air bubbles in it. But what I can do is also take this and push it down on those edges and get it stuck to those edges. Like I said, it probably doesn't look like it's going to work out the way I want it to, because these edges on the edge are way too sharp. Usually you want to put some kind of bevel or radiuses on your edges. You can actually see it's moving some of that excess material. You don't want to put too much pressure, but just work it out. Get the bubbles out. And trust me, once this cures all the way, you'll definitely be able to see where there's air in it. Yeah, I think because those edges are too sharp, that's alright. We'll figure that out. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Alright, so here's a good example right here. Not sure what's going on with that, but you just push some of that resin around and the resin will kind of level itself out. We're just working these air bubbles out. Like I said, that roller that I used to put the resin on did a pretty good job of getting air bubbles out. So I'm just going to finish this and I'll get back with you guys in a moment. Alright, I went ahead and turned the light on the phone. As you can see, this is where we're at. This is where we're at with the end of our work today. No air bubbles. Everything looks nice and even, translucent. There's no white pieces on it. I mean, I know there's some white around the edges, but I'll just trim those off and we'll figure that out when we get to that stage. But this is where we're at so far. Everything looks good. Now we'll just let it sit overnight to cure. Guys, please subscribe, like, hit the bell, do all that good stuff that you do on YouTube channels. I'm trying to get one of these out to you guys every weekend, man. I do work full time, so the weekend is really the only time I can get to it. But at the same time, these videos are what's giving me motivation to work on this project consistently. So I hope you guys are finding some use out of these videos, getting some information, something, entertainment at the very least. Like I said, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, even feel free to leave a comment. I love to hear from you guys, man. Once again, this is JC Inshore, and we'll catch you on the next one.